Welcome to a stories that breaks boundaries, stirs emotions, and redefines beauty. This isn't just K-pop, it's art, rebellion, and pure freedom. Who's been living with the longest-running rumor, and why hasn't it faded? Let's first find out. Are you ready? A new generation of K-pop idols is quietly rewriting the rules of beauty and identity. Among them, NCT's Haechan shines like a prism, reflecting countless shades of self-expression. His charisma isn't masculine or feminine, it exists somewhere beautifully in between. When he steps on stage, with his see-through shirt, pearl necklace, and that unmistakable gaze, soft yet strong, he becomes the face of a new era, where style speaks louder than labels. Whispers and rumors follow Haechan, but he remains silent, his presence alone resonates. Every look, every gesture affirms that beauty is versatile and art knows no gender. With quiet defiance, he turns softness into strength and individuality into power, breaking stereotypes simply by being himself. This movement is about more than just clothes or image. It reflects a cultural shift happening right now where idols are no longer constrained by expectations but empowered to express their truest selves. Fans around the world find solace in his authenticity, courage in his silence, and inspiration in his freedom. Haechan is not just an artist, but an awakening, proof that the stage belongs to those who dare to be different. And he's not alone. Across K-pop, more and more idols are stepping into the same light, creating a mosaic of identities, stories, and dreams. Together, they're transforming K-pop into something far greater than entertainment, a global conversation about what it truly means to be human, to be seen, and to be free. Because in the end, that's the beauty of it all. Music, style, and emotion, transcending gender, transcending boundaries, connecting us in the most unexpected ways. And that's where our next story begins. Under Seoul's flashing lights, one name quietly redefines beauty, Soobin of TXT. He doesn't storm the stage, he glides into it, calm yet magnetic. No sharp edges, no rehearsed charm, just a quiet presence that feels like a secret unfolding. In his stillness, the noise fades, and for a moment, the world listens. In a world where K-pop idols are expected to fit perfectly within the lines of gender and glamour, Soobin chooses the blur, that fragile in-between space where art and identity intertwine. His shirts flow like poetry, his gestures are careful yet unguarded. His energy, both masculine and delicate. He's not performing rebellion, he's performing honesty. And maybe that's why people whisper, speculate, wonder. Is he redefining gender or simply showing us that beauty never needed a label? Soobin never answers. He doesn't have to. Each time he sings, his voice bends between tenderness and power, and that's enough. The fans don't just see him, they feel him. His presence becomes a mirror for all who've ever felt different, unseen, or undefined. In today's K-pop, where boundaries blur and style speaks louder than labels, Soobin isn't alone. He's part of a quiet movement of idols who dare to live in shades, not categories. They challenge what it means to be masculine, feminine, or anything in between. Through music, through fashion, through silence, they whisper a truth the industry can't ignore, that self-expression is stronger than conformity. And as the story unfolds, Soobin becomes the prelude, the calm before the next wave of artists who will stand under the same lights, carrying the same message, that identity is art, and art belongs to everyone. Because in the end, our stories aren't about labels. They're about the courage to exist, fully, freely, beautifully. And that's exactly where our journey begins, as we dive into the untold tales of 15 gender-fluid icons who are reshaping K-pop forever. In the glittering world of K-pop, where every glance is staged and every smile can spark 1,000 theories, there exists a rare kind of artist, one who blurs the line between beauty and mystery, between masculinity and femininity, between performance and confession. The BOYZ Juyeon stands right there at that fragile line. They say he has that look, a gaze that holds something, a secret that no one can quite name. Behind the spotlights, he's silent, adjusting his collar, looking at his reflection as if questioning himself in the mirror. Not a word, just the calm before the storm. But once he steps on stage, everything changes. The crowd erupts. The rumors start to swirl. Who is he in love with? Why does his energy feel so soft, yet so dangerous? Juyeon doesn't answer. He never answers. Instead, he lets the light speak for him. His movements become a language, his presence a paradox, graceful yet sharp, delicate yet bold. Every glance feels like a confession, but never quite enough to reveal the truth. That is his power. That is his rebellion. In an industry built on perfect images, Juyeon dares to remain undefined. He embodies a kind of genderlessness that feels both timeless and futuristic. A reminder that beauty knows no boundaries, and identity doesn't need to be explained. His style, his gestures, even the way he stands, everything whispers of freedom, of a silent revolution unfolding before our eyes. Perhaps that's why the world can't look away. Because in Juyeon's silence, there's a challenge. What if the truest thing you can be isn't labeled? And so, the mystery continues. Every performance, every close-up, every rumor only deepens the story. Not a scandal, not a secret, but a mirror, reflecting a truth the world still struggles to admit, that gender, art, and emotion are far more fluid than anyone dares to believe. Jimin doesn't just perform, he transforms. Every move, every whisper of breath seems to rewrite what it means to exist beyond gender, beyond expectations. When he dances, it's not about being a man or a woman, it's about being alive. There's a tenderness in his eyes that makes you drop your guard, and a fire in his body that commands attention. A contradiction so raw, it's almost dangerous. The rumors keep flying. Is he playing with gender? Is he aware of the storm his image creates? But maybe that's the point. Jimin doesn't chase answers. He becomes the question. In a world where K-pop often demands perfection, Jimin dares to be fluid, unpredictable, almost poetic in his vulnerability. When he steps onto the stage wrapped in silk and shadow, when he smiles with that faint trace of sadness, the line between idol and art disappears. Behind the makeup and glitz, the quiet boy from Busan still lingers. Once unsure of his place, now he owns the stage as if it was built for his contradictions. His voice hums between octaves, blurring masculinity and divinity. Each movement, sharp yet delicate, becomes a confession. This is me, and I am everything you fear and everything you worship. Through his style, Jimin embraces freedom. One night, it's pearls and lace, another, leather and steel. He is both muse and creator, breaking rules not by shouting, but by simply existing. He reminds us, beauty has no gender, confidence can wear any form it desires, and maybe, the bravest thing a person can ever do is to stop pretending. As the final notes fade and the lights begin to dim, Jimin bows, not as a man, not as an enigma, but as a mirror reflecting our most hidden selves. Maybe that's why the world can't stop watching, because somewhere in his glow, we find our own yearning to be free, unlabeled, undefined, and utterly unforgettable. Before Hongjoong stepped on stage, the silence felt electric, like a storm about to break. Under the lights, he didn't demand attention, he drew it in. With defiant hair, black polished nails, and eyes both sharp and tender. Hongjoong wasn't just performing, he was reinventing what performance could be. In an industry obsessed with perfection, Hongjoong was alive and imperfect. He bent the rules as if they were rhythms. Fashion, rhythm, identity, all of it woven into one unnameable thing. Fans called him enigmatic, critics called him unpredictable. The truth? He was simply being genuine in a world afraid of authenticity. Every move, every lyric felt like a quiet rebellion, a whisper that beauty doesn't need a label. Rumors spread, of course, they always do, when someone refuses to conform. Some called him genderless, others said he was rewriting the very concept of masculinity. But Hongjoong never asserted, never denied. He smiled, and that smile said it all. I am who I am, and maybe that's enough. Amidst the beats and vibrant colors, he painted himself, not black and white, but every shade in between. His voice trembled, gracefully, defiantly. His presence turned tenderness into strength. It was art that transcended gender, transcended culture. It's art that touched the soul. And when the lights dimmed, you realized it wasn't just a performance, it was a message, a reminder that identity isn't a box, it's a spectrum. Hongjoong stands there unafraid, showing that rebellion can be quiet, strength can be gentle, and freedom can look like a boy wearing nail polish in the spotlight. And that's just one glimpse into the world of 15 trailblazing K-pop idols, redefining gender and art. Because beyond every boundary lies another story, and we're here to keep uncovering them, one heartbeat at a time. In the flashy K-pop universe, where image and identity often feel like perfectly choreographed performances, one name stands out quietly: 17's The Eight. People whisper that he's not just different, he's a question mark for an entire generation. In an age where every spotlight chases gender norms, The Eight doesn't break them, he shatters them. Silver nails glint beneath the lights. His movements flow like smoke, neither hard nor soft, neither masculine nor feminine, but something in between, something infinite. The audience watches, breath held, unsure of what they're witnessing. Is he challenging tradition or redefining beauty? Is he trying to be feminine? Some whisper, no. Others reply softly, it's just art. But The Eight never answers. He doesn't need to. His silence is the answer. Through off-the-shoulder suits, flowing dresses, and layers of sheer fabric fluttering with every step, he paints his identity, not with words, but with motion. Each performance becomes a living canvas, where gender isn't a line to be crossed, but a horizon to be blurred. The rumors come and go, echoes of too soft, too mysterious, too different. Yet, each time he steps on stage, The Eight reminds us that art isn't meant to fit in a box. His style isn't rebellion for attention, it's evolution for expression. He doesn't speak about freedom, he moves with it. In that quiet defiance, The Eight becomes more than an idol, he becomes a mirror, reflecting the fears, the curiosity, and the admiration of those still learning what it means to be authentic. Because maybe, in a world obsessed with labels, real courage isn't about choosing one, it's about choosing yourself. And perhaps that's the real magic of The Eight. He stands, not as a symbol of any gender, but as a reminder that beauty, like music, knows no boundaries. His story doesn't demand answers, it invites questions. And in that delicate, luminous space, K-pop finds something rare. Not perfection, but truth. In the glittering world of K-pop, where perfection is polished to a mirror-like shine, one name quietly breaks the mold: 17's Jeonghan. With shoulder-length hair and a face as soft as light, he's both angelic and mysterious. Fans wonder, is he really a male idol? But perhaps that's never the right question. From the very start, Jeonghan stood out, sophisticated yet confident, graceful yet bold. His voice, gentle yet powerful. Every movement, every glance, every smile feels like a quiet declaration of who he truly is. When he faces the camera or changes his look, it's not just fashion, it's storytelling. Without a single word, he blurs the boundaries others spend years trying to define. In an industry built on image and control, Jeonghan chose something far rarer: freedom. He doesn't struggle to prove himself, he simply is. That calm defiance, that quiet confidence has become his greatest strength. Through fashion, through movement, through music, he's shown that beauty is beyond gender. It's fluid, it's fearless, it's art. And by doing so, Jeonghan has become a symbol of self-expression in a world that often fears difference. In modern K-pop, where identity is still tightly guarded, he stands as proof that authenticity shines brighter than perfection. He isn't just performing, he's redefining what it means to be seen. So what do you think of artists like Jeonghan, those who live beautifully between the lines, unafraid of labels? Even as the world grows more open, K-pop remains cautious, still clinging to tradition. Yet idols like him remind us that being true to ourselves is the most powerful form of rebellion. Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, because more stories of courage, creativity, and freedom are on the way. There are performing idols, and then there's Felix. He shines. His presence feels like soft light through glass. Too gentle to blind, too bright to ignore. Fans call him the golden mystery of Stray Kids, the boy who exists somewhere between strength and tenderness. Some say he looks too fragile to be fierce, too strong to be delicate. Maybe that's why no one can look away. The rumors about Felix never start with words, they start with looks. The twinkle in his eyes, the soft smile, the way he moves, wrapped in quiet confidence. Online, every photo becomes a puzzle. People ask, is he breaking the mold or building a new one? But Felix stays silent, because maybe he knows the answer doesn't matter. What draws people in isn't his gender, it's his freedom. His deep, velvety voice carries what words never could. It trembles with emotion, bending beyond every stereotype. On stage, he moves like a contradiction, graceful and resilient in the same breath. In an industry obsessed with labels, Felix stands for something greater. The right to exist as both and neither, to be everything, all at once. Modern K-pop is no longer just music, it's a revolution wrapped in rhythm. Artists like Taemin, G-Dragon, and Felix are rewriting the meaning of beauty through sound, through fashion, through fearless expression. They don't just perform songs, they embody possibilities. They remind us identity isn't a wall, it's a window, open, endless, alive. As the lights dim and Felix steps forward, the world holds its breath. Because in his silence, there's a message louder than any rumor. Art has no label, and neither do we. Follow us. The next story will take you deeper into K-pop's bold evolution, where the lines blur and uncertainty becomes the purest form of truth. They say Yuta Nakamoto isn't just an idol, he's a mirror, reflecting both beauty and fear. In the world of K-pop, where every move is choreographed, Yuta moves differently. There's something almost defiant in his calm. Each time he steps onto the stage, the air shifts, as if he's rewriting what it truly means to be seen. Some nights, social media explodes with his image, hair cascading over his shoulders, lips touched with color, eyes whispering secrets no one can quite decipher. Some call him feminine, others say dangerous, but what they really mean is they don't know how to define him, because Yuta lives in that beautiful, terrifying space between all definitions. He never responds to the rumors. He doesn't need to. His silence speaks louder than any statement. In every performance, he seems to whisper, "I don't change to fit you. I exist as I am, and that alone unsettles you." And maybe that's the truth behind his mystery. Not about gender or rebellion, but about freedom. Through fashion, he bends expectations. Through music, he dissolves boundaries. Yuta embodies a new rhythm of identity, where softness can be strength, and strength can be gentle. He isn't here to explain himself. He's here to be himself, boldly, beautifully, in his own language. And as his legend grows, so do the conversations. Fans whisper, critics debate, but everyone keeps watching. Because deep down, Yuta reminds us of something we've all forgotten: the courage to simply be ourselves. Among the 15 gender-fluid icons of K-pop, his story is only the beginning. A spark leading us toward understanding, toward acceptance, and toward the countless shades of who we truly are. In the glittering world of K-pop, where perfection meets performance, few names ignite more charisma than EXO's Kai. When he steps on stage, it's not just a performance, it's an awakening. His movements don't follow rhythm, they create it. His body bends, breathes, and bursts into something almost mythic. Half human, half legend. Audiences don't just watch Kai dance, they witness a story unfolding without a single word. But behind the dazzling lights, behind the flawless choreography, lies a whisper that never fades. Rumors swirl like smoke around Kai. Stories of gender fluidity, of blurred lines between masculinity and femininity. When he wears a shimmering crop top, when he brushes on that glittering eyeshadow, when he steps onto the runway in a flowing dress, the internet erupts. Is Kai challenging gender, they ask, or is he simply redefining beauty? Kai never answered. He didn't need to. His silence spoke louder than any interview ever could. With every curve of his movement, every fleeting glance, Kai told the world, beauty knows no boundaries, and art knows no gender. He was gentle, yet strong. Delicate, yet powerful. On stage, he didn't perform as a man or a woman. He performed as something beyond, a raw creative force unbound by any label. That's why Kai became an icon of modern art, unafraid to erase the boundaries others still guard. Each move questioned our definitions, challenged our comfort, and invited us to see humanity in all its fluid, radiant forms. Perhaps that is the true revolution of K-pop today. Not just the beats that make us move, or the visuals that mesmerize us, but the courage to be free, to be real, to be limitless. And when the lights dim and the crowd melts into a sea of emotion, Kai remains. Not as a distant star we watch, but as a mirror reflecting who we could become. If only we too dared to dance without fear. Beneath Seoul's cold blue lights, something unspoken hums in the air. The crowd doesn't just watch, they're pulled in, caught between breath and heartbeat. At the center stands Woodz, Cho Seungyoun, not just performing, but transforming. A prism of sound and self, he bends emotion until it transcends gender, turning every note into quiet defiance and every glance into art that refuses definition. When he walks on stage, draped in silk, eyes dark but soft, the audience doesn't know what to call it. Beautiful? Unsettling? Both. His voice slides between strength and surrender, breaking the rules of what an idol should be. Online, people name it androgynous energy, hidden meaning, gender-fluid icon. But Woodz says nothing. He lets silence hum louder than any label. Because maybe he doesn't want to be understood. Maybe he just wants to be. Behind closed doors, he keeps creating, chasing that fragile line where music stops performing and starts reflecting. Rumors come, questions rise, but he never answers, he only smiles. Maybe he knows what others don't, that truth doesn't owe anyone an explanation. In a world obsessed with boxes, Woodz lives between them, a blur of freedom where gender dissolves into sound and the soul becomes art itself. And that's the beauty of this new K-pop era, where artists like him and so many others we'll meet today are daring to redefine what it means to exist. They're not just idols, they're living stories, challenging a generation to see identity as infinite. Because the future of pop isn't about who you are, it's about how bravely you become. Now, let's step into the next story. Another face, another rhythm, another truth waiting to be heard. Under K-pop's blinding lights, where perfection is scripted and identity carefully masked, one figure refuses to conform: Byeongkwan. He doesn't step on stage, he arrives, a question wrapped in poise and fire. Every movement, every look, dares the crowd to rethink what masculinity means in a world that keeps trying to define it. Byeongkwan's presence is a paradox: fierce, yet fragile; bold, yet soft. His movements flow like poetry written in motion, blurring what we once thought was fixed. A swipe of eyeliner, a flicker of confidence, a whisper of grace. He turns the ordinary into art. Every performance becomes a quiet revolution, a statement that gender isn't a boundary but a canvas. Rumors swirl. Is he bending the rules of gender, or simply breaking free from them? Byeongkwan never answers. He doesn't need to. His silence carries the weight of a generation, learning to express without apology. Through rhythm and rhythm alone, he speaks a universal truth. Identity is not a box, it's a pulse. Constantly changing, beautifully alive. In a world where idols are trained to mirror perfection, Byeongkwan becomes the mirror, reflecting imperfection as power. His fashion shifts between velvet and leather, soft tones and sharp cuts, each look a deliberate contradiction. He doesn't chase trends, he becomes them. To fans, he is freedom personified, the whisper of what's next, the symbol of tomorrow. Through his art, he reminds us beauty has no gender, only intention. Emotion isn't weakness, it's strength in disguise. Every note he sings, every beat he claims carries a story not just of music, but of courage. He isn't here to fit inside K-pop's rulebook, he's here to rewrite it. Because Byeongkwan isn't performing for approval, he's performing for truth. And that truth, shining through every shimmer of his presence, isn't about choosing sides, it's about becoming whole. In the flashy world of K-pop, where perfection is shaped and every smile is polished, a quiet revolution has begun. It doesn't scream, it sparkles. It's the rise of genderless idols, artists who don't fit into any mold, who make beauty a mystery rather than a rule. And leading this quiet storm is ATEEZ Seonghwa. When Seonghwa steps onto the stage, he doesn't enter, he appears. The spotlight bends toward him, as if recognizing something rare. His platinum hair shimmers like frost beneath neon light. His gaze, soft, steady, unpredictable, feels less like a stare and more like a question whispered to the world. What is beauty? In a culture that once worshipped hypermasculinity, Seonghwa stands apart, elegant, deliberate, untamed. His presence doesn't shout power, it whispers it. Every move cuts through the air with a grace sharp enough to silence a room. He dances between two worlds, strong yet fragile, masculine yet tender, distant yet deeply human. On stage, gender doesn't exist. What remains is art. Fans call him transhuman, others say genderless. But Seonghwa never claims a label. He lets his music define him. He lets emotion speak for him. And through that, a new generation of idols is expanding what K-pop truly means. They blend fashion, movement, and vulnerability into something raw, unfiltered, alive. Their beauty isn't rebellion, it's exploration. A reminder that identity isn't fixed, it's fluid, shifting, ever-changing, and full of color. This isn't about defying gender, it's about transcending it. It's about finding freedom in expression, authenticity in performance, and strength in simply being real. And maybe that's the future of K-pop. Not perfection, but authenticity. Not roles, but souls. Brave enough to shine exactly as they are. Beneath the flashing lights and the roar of the crowd, K-pop has quietly rewritten the definition of beauty, and no one embodies that transformation more vividly than Jungkook of BTS. Once the shy golden boy of Korean pop, Jungkook has evolved into something far more intriguing, a living symbol of gender fluidity, confidence, and creative rebellion. Every performance feels like a paradox. His voice burns with intensity, yet his presence glides between power and vulnerability. When he steps on stage, it's pure magnetism, a sharp gaze, tattoos that tell untold stories, and movements that blur the line between strength and grace. And when the music fades, he returns to stillness, a softness that feels almost fragile. That duality, fierce yet tender, has made Jungkook not just an idol, but a mirror, reflecting the shifting spirit of modern identity. Rumors swirl, of course. The dark nail polish, the sheer shirts, the genderless perfume he wears, all fuel endless whispers about his sexuality. But Jungkook never explains, never defends. Because for him, art is the answer. Through his style and sound, he silently tells the world, beauty doesn't need a label, and masculinity isn't a cage. Every appearance, every note becomes a quiet revolution, a reminder that being human means being free to exist in between. In today's K-pop, he stands among a rising wave of idols, redefining what it means to be seen, loved, and understood. They're not breaking rules, they're building a new world where expression knows no gender. So what do you think about this story? Which idol inspires you the most? Share your thoughts with us below, because here, every voice matters. We're creating a space where stories connect hearts and where music reminds us that freedom, in the end, is the most beautiful form of art. They say Stray Kids. Hyunjin is not only handsome, but dangerous. Not the loud, chaotic kind of danger, but the quiet, captivating one. The kind that holds you still with just a single glance. On stage, he doesn't just perform, he melts into the music. His hands draw invisible shapes in the air. His gaze, gentle yet burning, paints emotions you can almost touch. In that fragile space between boy and dream, whispers begin. They say he's too gentle to be a man, too bold to be a woman. But Hyunjin never explains. He never has to. Instead, he walks out with pale lipstick, black nails, and that look. The look that says, beauty never needed a gender to exist. K-pop has always been a universe of precision, sharp lines, perfect choreography, flawless smiles. But artists like Hyunjin, they're rewriting the rules. Through music, through fashion, through movement, he tells another story. One where grace and strength share the same heartbeat. Fans feel it too. They don't just watch him dance, they watch him become. One moment, he's a Renaissance muse, the next, he's a storm, breaking through the walls of what a man should move like, should feel like. And maybe that's why the rumors never cut him, because they were never really about him. They were about us. About a world still learning that beauty doesn't need permission to exist. Hyunjin stands in that truth. Calm, unshaken, unafraid. Proof that the future of K-pop doesn't belong to labels. It belongs to those who dare to blur the lines, to turn vulnerability into power, and to show that real beauty lives beyond definition. They call him the odd man out in a perfect world. NCT's Taeyong doesn't step onto the stage to be noticed. He comes to change the mood. Under the lights, his silver tones and piercing gaze silence thousands of cameras. He doesn't just perform, he owns the moment. Some say he's too perfect, too graceful, too untouchable. Others whisper softly, who is he really? In a K-pop era that thrives on precision and conformity, Taeyong exists as a system error, beautiful, unpredictable, and unafraid to be himself. His moves are sharp, yet soft. His voice, ethereal yet defiant. Each outfit blurs the line between masculine and feminine, pearls paired with chains, lace paired with leather. In a culture that worships labels, Taeyong becomes a question mark. And that question has spread across the world. Rumors began to swirl about his sexuality, his identity, his mystery. But Taeyong never explained. Maybe he didn't need to. Because what he represented wasn't about labels, it was about freedom. freedom to exist between the lines, to live in color when the world was still painted black and white. Fans called him an alien from the future, a symbol of what K-pop could be. Art that transcends gender, beauty that transcends borders. His silence became a statement, his presence an act of quiet rebellion. In the story of 15 genderless icons who reshaped K-pop, Taeyong stands as the spark that lit the conversation. Not about who he was, but about who we could be if we dared to be true to ourselves. Because perhaps the most powerful answer is the one that never needed to be said. And that was just one chapter in a movement bigger than music, a story of courage, of beauty, of freedom. These artists didn't just break the rules, they rewrote them. They reminded us that being human means being undefinable, that beauty has no shape, no gender, only truth. So if their stories moved you, if you saw a part of yourself in their light, don't let it end here. Share this story, subscribe, ring the bell, because the next chapter might just be the one that changes everything.